Okay, so I'll start now. There were some issues on headset. So when talking about whole architecture, so before going, you need to understand modules. So when I was talking about F5 as a product, F5 is just a company like we have A10, we have Cisco, but they have a product, dedicated product with different modules that you need to understand. So we have a product, initial product, which is called load balancer. Then we have a product which we will be doing in this course is ASM. Now F5 has been replaced with advanced WAF. So before starting anything, you need to understand how the architecture looks like. And when we talk about hardware or a virtual edition or a cloud, the main infra is same. Only module wise features will get changed. So load balancer LTM would provide you load balancer feature. It is dedicated term as a dedicated load balancer module, which is called local traffic manager. And when I go to ASM, that is a total security feature. And that will protect from all OWASP top 10, which we'll be studying today, like different OWASP top 10. It's a big topic. We'll go one by one. So you need to understand these two features first to understand further how load balancer works and how ASM works. Difference between LTM versus ASM. So when I talk about LTM and when I talk about just 1 minute, and then I'll talk about ASM. What is the difference? So both are a product of F5, which is called Big IP, and both are the modules. This one is LTM module, and this one is ASM module. Both are part of Big IP product. And then when we come across, this provides you local traffic manager. Means it will help you to, let's say I have a client connecting to F5, and then we have different servers. So main role for load balancer LTM is to load balance within a data center. Like I have a data center and I have a multiple servers, but I have my website where 1 lakh users are connecting every day from the internet. So if I have one server, I don't have a load balancer. Let's say I have a firewall that cannot manage the load because this server will get overloaded. In that case, what our task would be to have multiple servers to manage the load. Now, where comes ASM? Now, ASM will come into picture at same point. It will protect. My customer says that, hey, Vidit, I want 24 into 7 availability. That is fine. That will be provided by load balancer. But I want to protect my applications. So the Sianets.com, any website that is web-based, that are called application, and that will get hosted on your web server. After that, then there can be application server, database server. The main content which you get on the Google when you open any website, that you will get from the web server where the original application is hosted. But customer says, I want availability that is provided by load balancer, but I need security also. I want security plus availability. Sorry, Abdul, I'll not able to take questions right now. Let's complete this topic and then I'll able to take Q&A. So you can unraise your hand. So when I talk about security plus availability feature, so availability of your application redundancy is provided by load balancer, but security of your application from real-time attacks will be provided by ASM. That is what WAF talks about. Infra level, if I talk about basic infra, is same because initially we'll be configure your box, but there we will install modules. If I want to install, if customer only wants to use load balancer, then I can use LTM. But if customer wants load balancer plus security, that will be given by ASM or it will say as WAF also. Let's discuss another feature between difference between load balancer plus ASM because that is critical. In any company, if you go nowadays, they will ask you basic questions from starting, like difference between F5 LTM versus ASM. Simple, they will ask you this question. So you should understand in detail that LTM is primarily focusing on load balancing and traffic manager. But here your WAF is based on your security device, which will protect your application from web-based attack. Now, let's talk about another difference between LTM and ASM. Whenever I say ASM, you can think of it as a WAF. So both operates at layer 4 to layer 7. Your LTM operates at this layer 4 to layer 7 in OSI, because it ensures that my load balancing happens at TCP layer, HTTP layer. That is the purpose. But when I talk about ASM, it operates at layer 7 only because it focuses on your application level security. Because your attacks, web attacks comes under your layer 7. That is another difference. It focuses on your availability and performance. It manages this feature, availability plus performance. But when I talk about ASM, it focus on your security features. It focus on your threat management, threat intelligence, boot protection, all security features, data loss prevention. If you heard about DLP, then it has other vulnerabilities, policy enforcement, all will be done here. So LTM will ensure your application are accessible and perform well, and ASM will protect that applications from malicious attacks. That is the major difference which you need to understand between these two. Now, fourth feature, fourth difference. So you should know at least 5 difference between LTM and WAF. Another feature which is provides is both are capable of SSL offloading. When I say SSL offloading, your load balancer is basically focused on SSL offloading. ASM does not provide SSL offloading. That is difference. You need to understand when your customer needs SSL offloading with ASM, then you have to install LTM module in that. But nowadays they have a feature called Advanced WAF, which provides you SSL offloading. DDoS protection, basic DDoS capability it provides. But if you want advanced DDoS, then you need WAF. Okay, that is critical to understand difference between your load balancer plus WAF. Now let's go further on. How load balancers and WAF is working together in your security architecture. Let's say customer is using load balancer and I need to implement WAF. How deployment is. Let's talk about hardware and deployment. First, I'll talk about hardware of your big IP product F5. Then I'll talk about licensing part. When I talk about hardware level, so yeah, the operating system which is running on F5 is called TMOS. But it can be deployed. I'm not saying it can be deployed on only on hardware. This F5 product big IP, whether it is LTM or ASM, can be deployed on virtual editions, can be deployed on hardware, can be deployed on cloud. Because both are modules. Please understand, don't get confused when I talk about LTM, GTM, ASM. They are modules of product called big IP that can be running on same big IP device, whether it's in hardware, virtual or cloud. So organization can enable both modules on a single box or they can separate them across multiple devices. You need to understand these two features, LTM and ASM, can be enabled on one box or you can separate them across multiple devices based on your security requirement. And operating system is TMOS, Traffic Management Operating System. Now, what will happen further on when we talk about how the hardware looks like? I'll show the hardware and big IP concept of proxy. But before that, I'll tell you about certification, which are in huge demand. Before continuing the hardware, your certification starts with load balancer certification. Let's say someone tells me, Vidit sir, I want to go with this certification, ASM. Can I go directly? No. So this certification 201 and 101 are no more. They have introduced a new certification where you have to give 5 exams of load balancers. It is like a CCNA. CCNA means pre-request, but certification they have introduced. There are certification which is new introduced by F5 this year only. That is in 2025 they have come with the certification new structure. Previously they had 101 plus 201. That is retired now. Now it has been replaced with 5 modular exam, 30 minutes long. That is more focused exam, new certification. And I think they now introducing online certifications also. So they have segregated this certification into 5 parts that I'll tell you. First is first exam will test your installation, initial configuration, and upgrade path. Second exam will focus on your data plane concepts. Third module or third exam will work on your data plane configuration. See, previously it was all segregated into 101, 201. Most of the content is same, so that you don't need to worry. Fourth exam which they focus is on control plane administrator. And the fifth exam is support and troubleshooting. So that is what they have introduced. Once you clear this, then you can go with ASM exam. That is 303. So my main focus would be focusing on this certification. After my training, you can implement, you can install, You can clear any interview, plus you can clear this certification also. But if you need little bit knowledge on this, you have to buy my another course which is called Load Balancer course. And you can get this. There is a very good link, dedicated link, which is available on F5, which can give you more details how the certification looks like. So you can just type exams and certifications because that is critical to explain. And these exams and certifications are very much value because there is no setting. You cannot clear this exam by referring dumps or by setting. So these are the 5 exams. And these are the codes F5CA B1, F5CA B2, B3, B4, and B5. After that, you will become F5 certified admin. Once you clear this, then you can directly go with WAF specialist exam that is called 303. And you can download the blueprint that will give you the details what each exam consists of. So this content I cover in my load balancer course. They've just make it little segregated way so that old exams are not more valid now. They are changing some content. Most of the content is same. That is okay. So that is what. So entry level, it starts with your this exam. See, previously it was 101 and 201. Now they have segregated into 5 exam. That was critical, but they have little bit make it shorter exam. Previously it was 90 minutes exam or 120 minutes exam. Now it is 30 minutes easy exam. So entry level, if you want to do certification, you have to clear and become F5 certified admin. Specialized, let's say if you want to have specialized, then you can attend this F5 CTS ASM, that is in Web Application Security exam. Then you can have other modules like DNS, APM, that are other modules. And if you want to become solution architect, then you have to become F5 CSE. That is the last exam. So here it is. So there are 2 exams. One is 401 and another one is 402. Okay, that was about certification. And this is how modules are segregated. This module, which will provide you load balancer feature. This module will provide you intelligent DNS solution. That is called GTM. This one we are talking about currently is a WAF module, which provides you whole security of your applications. And when I talk about APM, that provides you single sign-on solution, SSL VPN solution. And this one is your acceleration manager. Mostly people are not using, so I'll not go with this. But these 4 modules, you should just understand. Separate courses are there, separate exams are there for this technology. And the latest module, hardware which are coming in market is previously it was old module I series. Now the latest F5 has introduced that is called hardware R series, which will give you high performance application and security. Previously it was having I series where you were deploying your hardware platforms. But in R series, as more network going, more cloud is happening. So they are giving a feature called pay as you grow license. That is in hardware box. Like R series are starting from R5600, R5800. Bigger boxes are R10,000, R12,000. Whenever you give any interview, they will ask you this question: which hardware boxes have you worked? Have you worked on migrations? So you should to understand what is currently going in F5. This is the latest model which is going R series. So it has a feature called pay as you grow license. And that works nowadays. It is F5 OS operating system. And inside it, we install TMOS. And they provide you more speed flexibility. They have 40 gig interfaces and other things in pipeline. Because nowadays, more cloud are coming into picture. So they want to introduce such feature which is flexible with your cloud-based application. And now they have introduced a product which operating system which is called F5 OS that is based on your Kubernetes based platform. Only the base host level operating system is changed. Inside it, we will install TMOS only. A major difference between R series and I series is introduction of this Kubernetes based platform operating system that is called F5 operating system. They allows you some exciting capabilities. So my everyone asked me, do I need to learn Kubernetes? No, because it has been able, you will be able to manage this platform layer via similar F5 CLI. Same features this will go do like what I series used to do. And R series, inside it, you can run TMOS, which we will be studying it. So how the architecture looks like. So there will be an host which will be building on F5 OS. And inside it, we will be running tenant. So it's like a host versus guest. So guest will be running on TMOS and it will be turned as a tenant based architecture, multi tenancy architecture. Multi tenancy by default. So existing customers who are running with I series can migrate easily into tenant running on R series. So what is tenant? So tenant is nothing but it's like a guest running on your platform. It's like a virtual edition. Let's say I have a laptop. In my laptop, I am installing VMware Workstation. In VMware Workstation, that is ESXi host, I am deploying Palo Alto. I am deploying F5 as a separate guest checkpoint. So that is called tenant. So tenant is just like a VCMP guest running on a VPRAM. So once you deploy tenant, the management experience will be same like big IP platform. So you can take WebGUI, CLI, or API. Multi-tenant architecture. That is what it provides. And operating system on the host will be F5 OS. That is an hardware operating system. So you can provision tenant on top of it. Because nowadays they people prefer pay model. That is very critical, which I'm talking about, guys. Because in interview and going forward, you need to work on this platform, whether it's an ASM. So ASM will be deployed on tenant only. Tenant is just like a big IP device where you will initially install this module that I'll talk about in license part. So pay model is like a pay as you grow. Because when you learn any technology, your base should be good and your hardware knowledge should be good. Now, R series has multiple hardware and software options, but to reduce number of hardware platform, they have introduced feature called pay as you grow option. So you can expand your performance resources by upgrading by a next model via software license change. So previously in I series, let's say I series was 2800, but now you want more RAM, more resources. Then you had to replace your model to I5600. But in R series, it is not like that. So they offer you only three options, three tier license option, where you can just expand your performance and resources by upgrading into next model via simple software license change. So let's say my initial model is, this is very critical component which I'm talking about. Let's say my initial, I have choose this R5600. Now, if my performance or my customer wants more CPU, more RAM, so simply what I'll do is I can upgrade to R5800 or R5900 by simple license change. So initial model which has come with R series is, if someone asks you R5600, R5800 and R5900. So to achieve more performance, you just need to just do a license change and your model will get upgraded to 5800 or 5900. These are your mid-range appliances where your organizations are middle and low. Less people are there. But you have higher, if you have high company like, let's say my company is ICICI.com, that is banking, bigger bank. I need to install bigger boxes. Then the model which you can install is R10600, R10800, and R10900. And when I talk about Kubernetes, you don't need to know Kubernetes much, but R series utilize your open source software that is called K3S, that is a Kubernetes administrator which has been introduced. But since we mostly deal with only deploying it, simple hardware will be coming with F5 OS. You just need to configure multiple tenant. Let's say in one F5 OS, I have to install two tenant. You can use that. One will be running with LTM, one you can run with ASM. So when I talk about Kubernetes, they have a workloads, controllers features that I'm not going it because that will take care of your CPUs, RAM, and other things. Because it's a combination of your Docker and Kubernetes that is making more F5 more smarter, which has not been introduced in other companies like Redware, Cisco, A10. That is why they are less in market, and that is why F5 is huge in market. So if I show you that diagram, how R series look like, you will understand more. So it's a next generation hardware to enhance your application delivery and network components. I'll just show you some of the images. So this is how your architecture looks like of F5 OS. So you don't need to go in detail because we need to understand ASM, but at least you should understand they have workloads and they have separate CPUs will be allocated. Multiple cores are available. So this is a somewhat a simplified single software stack of control plane architecture. So when you deploy tenant, it means you're deploying workloads. So what are workloads? Workloads are nothing but it's a devices which you are configuring. So you need to understand K3S workload. What is workload? That term can be asked in interview. What are workloads? So workloads are like a operating system, a lightweight Kubernetes distribution to manage your tenant so that it can help you to deploy multiple tenant architecture. This is one tenant, second tenant, third tenant, like that. That is called workloads. It's an application running on a cluster, you can say. A workload or an application running on a cluster. That's what you can say. So that pod concept is like that. A smallest, like if you want to deploy tenant, that will be one pod. Second tenant, second pod. So Kubernetes control plane, this is all your control plane. Whenever you deploy tenant, which is running on big IP, when tenants are configured, so that Kubernetes control plane is responsible to manage that. We will not go into deep architecture because it is not required, because it will allow to introduce just a new feature, but it is leveraging the same services which we were doing previously. And how tenant looks like, I'll show you that also. This is how tenant is deployed. So tenant is nothing to tenant is a condition which is required to deploy any big IP resources. So let's say you have one F5 OS here and one F5 OS here, and you have multiple tenant. So you can have an HA between each other. So when I talk about management plane here, that is very critical. How the management IPs are configured, that picture is very, very critical. This is how it is. There are 2 points of when you get a new R series box in your production environment. So you will first deploy F5 OS, and about that you will deploy tenant, and that will be running with big IP image that we will talk about in this whole course. So 2 points of management are there within R series. One is called F5 OS platform layer management IP, and one is called tenant. Each will have their own CLI and GUI, and each can run their own version of software. Someone can run 15.1.5, this can run this can run this. This is platform software. Platform, like in VMware, we have ESXi. So in our series, they've introduced F5 OS as a platform, and this is called tenant software. So there are two types of software. When I talk about F5 OS A, A stands for appliance. That is how it looks like. So I'll show you the picture how R series looks like and how our F5 looks like. When we deploy this, how they looks like. I'll show you. So this is the tenant architecture on F5 OS. This is the GUI when you deploy F5 OS. This is how it will look like. And inside it, you will deploy this tenant architecture. And when you start this tenant, how the GUI looks like, that I'll show you. This is the F5 OS A GUI. When we deploy appliance on F5 OS, this is how you can deploy. You can provide CPU, RAM, hard disk. Same concept which we follow in VMware Edition, ESXi host. Same where it is showing here. Now, when I talk about when we enable tenant and when we activate it, how it looks like. This is how it will look like. Same, this is tenant. So that is how tenant looks like. It is basically running on your big IP appliance. So that is how tenant and OS architecture looks like. So now if I talk about basic other architecture, this is how a concept comes where we have a load balancers. Here in picture one, we don't have load balancer. It is just a firewall and a router and a server. But in second picture, we have a load balancer. And top of it, we'll install ASM. And that is how it looks like. If you don't have a load balancer, see, traffic is coming, multiple requests are coming. It is forwarding to firewall and it is going directly to the server. There is no concept of load balancing. That is the difference without load balancer and with load balancer. Now, I told about platform. We can deploy big IP platforms in virtual edition, in cloud, and physically. Physically, I talked about R series. Previous models are like that, but that are end of life. Now, R series and I series are running. If someone is on I series, it will work. But most of the people will get migrate slowly after 2 years on R series. And in virtual edition, it is based on your throughput level. 25 Mbps, 200 Mbps, 1 Gbps. So you get a license based on your data traffic. Okay, that is difference between multiple features. And third feature is a cloud where you can deploy on AWS or Azure. Okay, now let's go into architecture of your operating system, TMOS. So before that, I'll talk about license part. When we talk about license part, so today after this class, everyone, most, if some people know, it's, I'm telling you again, for doing lab, the first requirement is to get a license. So when I talk about license part, so for deploying lab in whether it is VMware workstation or cloud or hardware, you need to get a license. For deploying license or deploying F5 in your lab for testing purpose, F5 gives you 30 days license. But for that, better would be you need to register it using your organization email ID. You need to have provide you original detail. Whenever you request license from F5, you should provide your organization email ID. You should register using your company email ID, proper company name, and proper email ID, proper address. Sometimes you can get from personal email ID, but I would prefer to register on F5 portal to download a license to do a lab. You should always register by your company email ID. Once you get a license, then you can use all features. You don't have to pay anything. F5 provides you free 30 days license. And in that, you will get two license. One you can use for 30 days, second you can use again for 30 days. So for at least 2 months, you can do labs. Later on, you can do other labs, but initially, I would request everyone to get this license before next weekend. If you're not getting, then please take help from each other because you will get two license. So how you can register for a license? I'll tell you quickly. Just go to google.com because next week we'll be doing labs for ASM. So you have to request license I'm giving you and try this license registration tomorrow after 7 p.m. IST because your F5 team works after in US hours. So try to register and get a license. Register today, but request for a license from Monday to Friday after 7 p.m. IST. So how you can try it for free? Just go here. Just go here into F5 Big IP Virtual Edition because I need to get a license for Virtual Edition. You have to click on this, get a free trial. Here you will get. Now when you log in or register, first you have to register. When I'm talking about registration part, you should register by your company email ID. Here you need to provide your first name, last name, email, country and password and then sign up. This is how you can register it. But if you are an existing user, you can click on sign on and you can just type your email ID, then a password which you have entered. Then you will get an OTP on your email ID that you have to just enter. After that, first thing is you have to sign up because I have already a signed up user. I'm just signing it again. Now it will send me a code for two-way authentication. Now I'll get a code on my email ID. So just 1 minute, let me open my email ID. So that org email ID, you will get one OTP code. That is how you will get it, like this. And then I'll enter here. This is the first thing to do a lab. Then I'll show you the topology which will be deploying it. Now, when we go here it will show you. You just need to go to trials option. And here you will get. I have lot of like, see, trials are supported only for business email IDs. Please register with business email IDs. So I have one license like this, you will get it. So how my big IP, I'll just show you. I'll log in into my big IP also. My license is expired. Can you see? When license get expired, your traffic processing will get seized off. So I need to apply one license. So what I'll do is I have one license which I need to use it. So this is how you can use. Here you will get multiple license, but we have to use the license which is called with big IP virtual edition. Like this, let's say these are the two licenses which I'll get. I'll just copy and I'll tell you all this from scratch, but I'm just telling because my license is expired. So I'll just applying it just to show you. You got a copy, you select a manual because when you get a management IP access, after that you need to apply a license. So license you will get on the same page that I got it. Then I'm applying it. Just I'll copy and I'll just access this. This process I'll try tell you next week also. But since my license is got expired, I'm applying here right now. But how to register? You just need to type in Google F5 30 days trial. Register, you will get one license file like this. Now I'll apply this. Very easy. Without license, F5 will not work. And it is free, of course. That is why F5 is in huge demand. Before deploying anything on production, you can test everything on your trial license, which many companies are not giving. Even firewalls you are not getting. But in F5, you can test every feature using trial license. So you can register everyone, please, by this. You will get an, since I already have a license, let me log in by another website so that at least I can show you how you can get it. I'll just log out. I'll try to get it from another website. I'll sign in. Because I have registered, I've been giving training, so I have a lot of emails, but that might not work due to personal email IDs, but sometimes it can work. So always register by your company because we have a company called Sianets. I'll just get an OTP here. Same way, I'm just signing off with my another email ID. to show you how to request a license. So I'll just share another screen, just 1 minute. Now, here you will get by this subscription trial open cases. You have to go to trials after login. Then you can enter your company name. Here, it's not giving me option to register for license because here it's telling me to provide supported license. That is big IP next that I don't have. Now it's not getting me because nowadays they are not supporting it. So you have, if you have an account, you will get this option. This trial is for F5 customers with corporate accounts only. To request a trial, you have to have account, you register by this, then you will get one option called start free trial. So if you don't have a F5 account with your corporate email ID, you can create by this here, which I told you. This is an article that will show you how to create a new account. That I am showing you. This is where you can log in my F5. That's where it will land you. Okay. Since I had a license, I've applied it and it has taken. See now license expiry date. Today I've renewed it and expiry date it's showing 1 month. So each license is valid for 1 month. So now it will come based on the traffic and then we can talk about that. Now, when I talk about TMOS architecture, that you need to understand how TMOS architecture looks like. So this is the operating system which is running on your big IP, F5. So you need to understand the operating system used in that. So when I talk about F5 big IP, whether it's ASM or LTM, both are running on this operating system. So this is the operating system, which is a foundational architecture that powers your big IP device. This is a built operating system to manage your network traffic efficiently and securely. And your F5 big IP is called as a full proxy architecture. So if you see this, you have a TMOS, then you have modules installed, then you have iRules and full proxy, then they have a dedicated SSL and compression engine. So you have a separate management plane that's called MGMT interface, and you have a separate data plane. And your operating system TMOS component is based on Linux. It is a Linux-based operating system, which is built on your customized Linux kernel. So it provides you memory management, process scheduling, and hardware interaction. So that is where it is, why it is called full proxy, because there will be two sessions, one from client to F5, one session is from F5 to server. So there will be two sessions. And the microkernel which is running here, that is called TMM, that is called traffic management microkernel. That is the heart of your TMOS. So their full proxy means you have client to F5 one dedicated session, because when F5 is placed, F5 is placed between your client and your server. So there will be two session TCP handshake. One is from client to F5, one is from F5 to server. So here you have front-end connection that is called virtual IP. When we'll talk about traffic components, virtual IP, pool member, then I'll show you. So you have one session from client to web and one session from F5 to the server where your original application is hosted. So when I talk about TMOS components, so first component in TMOS is Linux kernel. That is, a TMOS is built on that customized Linux kernel. So it will provide you memory management, process management, and hardware interaction. Then you have one micromanagement. TMM is a part component of TMOS that is termed as your traffic management microkernel. So it handles all your data traffic. So layer 2 to layer 7 traffic processing is done by your TMM interface. So it is running separately from Linux kernel for performance and security. So what is TMM responsible? What are the responsibility of TMM? First, it provides you load balancing feature. It provides you security, all data traffic. It provides you SSL offloading, all I rules, like I rules are the part, and acceleration compression all runs on this. Then you have a third component which is called control plane. What is the use of control plane in F5? So it will manage your configuration, monitoring, and management tasks. All management tasks related configuration monitoring is done. This one is your control plane, which handles your admin task or management task. So it includes GUI, taking CLI, or taking REST API. Then you have different modules running components. LTM stands for Local Traffic Manager. ASM stands for your Application Security Manager. Your DNS stands for your Global Traffic Manager. And your APM stands for Access Policy Manager. So now how traffic flows in this operating system. So when we talk about traffic flow, in TMOS, when we traffic comes, let's say I have client 1, I have client 2, I have client 3, and then you have F5. Then you have multiple servers where your application is hosted. Now, traffic enters your big IP device. This is your big IP device. After that, what happens? Your TMM will intercept and process traffic. Whenever traffic comes into big IP, the microkernel task will come into picture. It will intercept the traffic and process the traffic. After that, what will happen? That is the second thing. Now, based on your configuration, like you will configure virtual server, pool, profiles, traffic will get load balanced, traffic will get inspected. LTM will do load balancing. After that, module task will come. ASM will do security management. And authentication will be done by APM. So traffic enters, TMM will intercept and process traffic, then module task will come. LTM will provide you load balance feature. Your ASM will inspect the traffic. So three features will be coming: load balancing, inspection, and authentication. After that, traffic will exit F5 and go to backend server. So that is how control plane and data plane works. And that is the task of TMM. Okay, that is how your TMOS architecture looks like. This is very, very critical. You need to understand how your operating system works. Key features also. So control plane will handle your GUI interface, CLI interface, REST API. Data plane will manage your data traffic. And then you have Linux kernel and TMM interface. Okay, this was about your operating system. And ADC, this whenever you heard about this term ADC, it is a part of your big IP only, application delivery controllers. That is the same term. And full proxy is built between your users and your application server traffic. So you have client and users, then you have F5, and then you have servers. Let's say there are multi servers for load balancing. So my main customer says that I have to manage performance, I have to manage security, and I want availability. So that is provided by your F5 as a whole device. So that is how it is have building a full proxy. F5 is acting as a full proxy device. So it creates a layer of extraction to secure, to optimize and load balance. So that is how it creates a layer of abstraction to secure, optimize, and load balancing. Okay, this is the feature which it does. So it will scale your application infrastructure. When we talk about big IP, it will eliminate the downtime, it will improve your performance, scale your application. This is all about your load balancer plus WAF. So both when we connect LTM plus ASM, it provides all these features. That is the main thing you need to understand. It can be hardware, it can be virtual editions, or it can be cloud based. And how TCP handshake works in your full proxy. When a traffic arrives on your virtual server, let's say someone wants to access your website sianets.com. How the three-way handshake is built. Client will send a SYN packet, then F5 will send a SYN acknowledgement, then acknowledgement package will be sent. Here three-way handshake will be built. Then client will initially send one get packet. Once it's sent, then F5 will build a three-way handshake with server. That is very, very critical. Then server will send SYN acknowledgement. Acknowledgement that get packet will be sent to the server. And when server will respond, then you will get a web page on your browser. That is how when client access a website, this is the traffic flow through load balancer. So that is why it is called full proxy. Separate client and server connections. So that was all about your infrastructure. Now I'll talk about little bit on ASM deployment with load balancer. Then I'll tell you the lab topology. Then we'll take Q&A. Now let's talk about topology. People had a question yesterday, sir. Should I deploy LTM plus ASM on a single box? I would say yes. It has advantages from an architecture perspective. But if you are into banking environment, then you should have a separate ASM box and a separate load balancer box. So we'll talk about this two architecture. Sometimes during your project requirement, you may not need big IP features. Load balancing features. They only want security. Then you can deploy security device. But nowadays people are wanted both. They want ASM plus load balancer feature. So that's why F5 has introduced a new box, new license box, which is called Advanced WAF. So we'll talk about that. There is a good article which talks about that. So how it looks like, first I'll show you. This management IP configuration we'll talk about later on. But when you open an F5, okay, maybe I have to reboot this, but I'll show you. There is a component called resource provisioning. I have to reboot this box. Maybe I'll reboot because it's showing some issues. Just 1 minute. So when I talk about simple ASM, if I want to use only ASM box with normal load balancing feature, just understand they want all security features, but they want only simple load balancing features. In that case, you can only deploy ASM. See, I have a license for all modules in this free trial. I can use LTM, I can use ASM, I can deploy DNS, and I can deploy APM also. But can you see this? If I want only ASM features with default load balancing, then I can just select this. Let's say you have a box and you want both, you want to use full capability of LTM plus ASM, then you need to select this both. Otherwise, if you want only security feature with basic load balancing, then you only need this. So I'll show you that. Very critical topic which now I am introducing. From 2021 or 2022, there is no concept called big IP ASM. They have introduced a feature called advanced WAF, which have expanded features which is replacing ASM. This is very critical topic for next 10 minutes. Please understand carefully. And it is the most leader market in your WAF field. Now, what features it provides you? These are the features. When I talk about advanced WAF license, if I purchase, nowadays they are only giving you advanced WAF license. It is a combination of your big IP ASM. It provides you DDoS features and it provides you LTM features also. So you will get advanced WAF license. You have base ADC. Can you see? It provides, if you want SSL offloading, load balancing. Load balancing is only provides you static based load balancing. It does not provides you dynamic based load balancing. So there is a difference. Static, there are two types of load balancing. If you want only round robin and simple load balancing, round robin or ratio based, then you can use this. If they want dynamic based load balancing based on your performance, like least connection, fastest, observed, there are dynamic based that you don't have. It will have all your BASM capability. It has your DDoS capability, attack signature, anti-bot defense, anti-bot mobile. It provides you mobile application. Nowadays, people have mobile and web application. So I want to protect that both defense application, data save feature from credentials of stuffing, behavior DDoS, AIML. So it provides you threat campaign and OWASP compliance. Now see, I have only standalone advanced web, but I have web in a device with big IP. See this, very important table. I'm talking about two things. Either I am using F5 as standalone advanced web, or I am want to use web advanced web with LTM module also. Means in I have one device, big IP, where I want to use both license, LTM license also or ASM license also. But we will see this versus I have an F5 box, big IP, where I'll only install advanced web license. Now, what will happen? Once I have with LTM and ASM, or I have ASM, these two pictures are there. You can leave this. If you see this, most of the features, these are same. But when I talk about, if you want to security for or load balancing for UDP based application, then ASM does not provide you. It provides only load balancing features based on your HTTP protocol, TCP protocol. But if you want, there is an application UDP based, you want load balancing that ASM does not provide. There are some difference on health monitor, but that is not more. The major feature is load balancing. If you talk about ASM alone, advanced web, it provides you least connection, ratio, and round robin. But if you talk about if customer wants dynamic this type of load balancing, which are more advanced, then you need F5 app with load balancer also. So that thing you need to confirm with your customer. Very, very critical. That is very, very critical. If they want advanced features, only load balancing and UDP based application, then you can use that feature. So here I'll show you the theory. Advanced web has a number of features that makes it advanced, like this that I've told you. Base ADCs. If you want SSL offloading and load balancing features, that will be provided, but it is only having static. If you want DDoS feature, that is provided by that. That is what we will study, advanced WAF. It provides you all features of base WAF, attack signatures, anti-import defense like fingerprinting, session hijacking, web scraping, brute force attacks I want to protect. Then you have anti-bot mobile SDK. That is an anti-bot security to any mobile app. That is also provided by advanced web. This is very, very critical. Data safe features. Let's say your computer is infected with malware. In that case, your password, whenever you open any website, your password will get stolen. But data safe features helps you to encrypt that data. That all we will study. Behavior DDoS, credential stuffing. Let's say you get a lot of username and passwords. But this feature will protect against hackers using passwords stolen from dark web. So in the summary, if I talk about ASM, advanced web has all the features which you want. But there was one topic, just 1 minute. This one. It is important to understand that advanced web include all the features of base ASM. So you can buy advanced web or ASM individually because that is nowadays now ASM is not there. Now you have to buy advanced web. But either way, I would always recommend it buying WAF with LTM, as you may use very important functionality like UDP, like LTM support UDP features and advanced load balancing. If customer does not want advanced load balancing features plus UDP, if their applications are only TCP, then can go with only advanced WAF. Are you getting it? If their applications are UDP, then you have to go with WAF with advanced WAF with LTM. Or if they want advanced load balancing methods. Now, let's talk about summary part. Go with LTM plus advanced WAF only if load balancing is required, which are more dynamic. You want dynamic based load balance. If your customer is using UDP based applications. Go with advanced WAF only if your security is the sole concern. Plus, they can only take if there is no requirement of load, then on not requirement of dynamic or UDP based application are not there. So that is where it demands. So in your company, you will see that you have web apps with multiple servers. With dynamic, then you can go with LTM plus advanced web. They have UDP based applications also plus TCP. If if your applications are only API gateway applications with security focus, in that case, you can go with advanced web. One example I'm showing you. If they want enterprise DMZ level security with load balancing, let's say they have enterprise environment with DMZ with full control. In that case, you can go with both LTM plus advanced web. So it depends on your proposal. Now, let's talk about lab topology. I'll stop recording and